Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zaks Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 2nd of April. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which didn't quite make it over the 50-day line and also back into that triangle. The triangle floor there around 86.40, the 50-day line, and the top of the triangle, 86.70. So we need an end-of-day close above 86.70 to avoid a move down to basically post-January support there towards 84.70, 80. The bad news is that number one, the RSI trace has given us a clear failure at neutral 50. I suppose if you want to pile on the agony, you could say that there's also a resistance line in the RSI window, which makes it look even worse. So that does suggest that we might have to head down to that 84.70 area. If we do break higher, obviously initial resistance 87.50, and then the top of that rising trend channel at 9,000, but looks increasingly unlikely that we'll get to that by the end of this month, if we ever get there at all. Moving on to the DAX, and here we've sort of fudged the price action, so trading at the floor of that rising trend channel, trading near the 50-day moving average, 22,400, and needing to stay above that on an end-of-day close basis to maintain the rising trend channel that we've had there since November. I suppose one could argue that the floor of the channel is actually there rather than where I drew it, near the 50-day line. But this area is the battleground in terms of support. You can see once again, like the FTSE, we have an RSI failure at neutral 50, so that means that we have to factor in again a potential test of the 1st February gap there, 21,500. End of day close above the gap down that we had, 22,800, would be the definitive signal that we're heading up to the top of the channel and record highs, but it doesn't feel like a market which wants to make record highs at the moment. Moving on to the Dow, and here still managing to hold on to that the price channel floor there, 41,500. Below that we still have to factor in 40,500. And while we remain above, or rather below, the neutral 50 RSI level, which we have been since basically the last week of February, this still looks like a market that risks rolling over, if only towards the 40,000 area. End of day close above the 200-day line, 42,100 would be the first sign that we are out of the woods. Moving on to Bitcoin, where it's all about the price channel floor there from the uptrend line there from September, so that's at 82,000 now. Still need to get the RSI back above neutral 50 and this market above the 200-day moving average, 86,300. But at the moment, the message is buy on dips to the floor of that rising trend channel from this time last year. Sealing at the moment towards 90,000. On to gold, where everyone's told us very enthusiastically that it's reached new record levels. Here you can see that we had the push towards 31.50, which was obviously much appreciated. We were looking for 3,200 by the end of this month, and hopefully we will get that. With the rising trend channel here from back in November, and the top of the channel heading as high as 3,300. And if you argue that the channel is higher than that, then it would be 3,400. By the end of next month, but let's try and get to 3,300 first, I think, on that particular chart. The 3,400, the best case scenario, maybe for the end of May, if we keep on trucking and remain above the March resistance there around 30.60. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with the stock which I wasn't expecting to chart again, because I wasn't expecting it to be that bullish, but it looks as though we had an overshoot on the downside, which is typical of this market, and then a W-shaped turnaround above the middle of the W there at 0.59. Looking for the stock to at least get back towards the 1 pence area, say trying to find new resistance at old support that we had this time last year. Punchy call, but we have that 0.59 level as the technical or notional stop loss. Moving on to Avacta, where it's interesting that the bulls of the stock seem to have gone a little bit quiet of late. Did point out that since the start of this year, the 50-day line has become resistance for the shares. So that would cap the current price action at 41 pence, maybe 42 pence. The problem is that we have a support line rejection heading towards 28 pence, and that is possibly where the shares could go while they remain above, at least while they remain below the late March support there at 37 pence. Moving on to a stock which had a decent update to date. Looks like it's heading for the promised land. We've already been covering Argentex over the recent past, presumably as people are already guessing that the company is turning around. Initial resistance here, 51 pence, a double bounce of the RSI, so we should make that easily. And looking for 70 pence, the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base by the end of next month, while we remain above the 50-day line, currently at 41 pence. On to our exploration, which I'm only covering. The only reason I'm covering is because I saw a very trendy TikTok-style video by the CEO, and it's interesting that despite all these trendy videos and all the other attempts at getting the shares on the right side of 20p, that has not worked yet. It's amazing, really. I think I'd be rather upset if I'd had the success that Arrow's had and the shares were where they are, but that is the market. We've got a falling trend channel here from back in June last year, top of the channel there, near the 200-day moving average at 25 pence. If the TikTok style video works, then above 20 pence and above the 50-day line there, we should get up to 25 pence by the end of this month. Moving along to Bezant, which has been a difficult market, one can say, but looks like the shares have got a bit of energy behind them at the moment. We've broken through February resistance there at 0.25, and above that looking for 0.40, basically testing October resistance by the end of next month. 250 and 200-day lines now both rising, which is rather amazing. It suggests we're going to a golden cross, and that tends to be the strongest part of the cycle, so maybe at long last, Bezant is on its way to the upside. You can see that it's been quite an extended bear run for the shares. On to Challenger, which I'm covering because I think I've seen a broken note. I think it was Stifel today. Already covered this quite recently. We've got a rising 50 and 200-day lines heading for 14 pence as soon as the end of this month. We've got the chart formation here, one of the best. There's a step progression, so rising vertically, then sideways, and then rising vertically. So that is amazing. Upside value there while we're above that 50-day line at 9.3 pence. Moving on to Distil, which had a great day yesterday, not so great today, but just to give a reminder where we are, it's a broadening triangle base, and we've broken out of that falling wedge at 0.06. Above that, we're looking for 0.2 as a best case scenario target by the end of next month, so hoping the shares will double. Already got the rising 50-day line there and strong candles and bullish divergence, so not completely pie in the sky. On to Empyrean, which has apparently let people down quite a lot over the recent past. Maybe some people remember the great calamity of 2022, and one of the things in the stock market is once a company does that once, it's a case of once bitten, twice shy, or three times shy in some cases. Here we got the potential of a rising trend channel base, 50-day line at 0.13, and looking for the top of the range at 0.18, perhaps by the end of next month. If you're cautious, you'd at least be waiting for an end-of-day close above that 50-day line at 0.13. Moving along to stock which doesn't get much coverage here, largely because it doesn't really move very much, but here, just as a token gesture, we've got Logistics Development Group, and here we've got a rising trend channel, top of the channel there, at getting up to 21 pence, looking for that over the next couple of months, with a rising 200-day line supporting the shares around 12 pence. Orosur has gone from strength to strength in the recent past. The CEO, sort of permanent lap of honour there for him, Brad George, but rising trend channel there. Top of the channel there heading for 22 pence, which we're looking for by the end of next month, while we remain above the 50-day line there at 10.5 pence. I think the plus point here is that the company's raised most of the money it needs to keep on trucking. On to Raspberry Pi, where it was interesting that most of the metrics today were negative, but we've already factored in the result today with the fall from £7.60 to £4.50. What will be interesting here is whether the shares can break that £5.30 resistance line and head up to the 50-day moving average and £6 plus over the next month. It might be a bit of an ask, but what is interesting is that today's rise closes that gap down that we had a couple of sessions ago. So it is a gap close buy signal, which some people might be tempted by. We were also in the zone where we've had bullish divergence, so lower low for the start of April, but higher RSI trace. So it does look as though the shares are ready for a bit of a rise. Onto Avacta Resources, where the CEO putting his hand in his pocket to the tune of, from memory, 500,000 euros has done the trick. In fact, here we're already approaching our second target there at 0.28 pence. I think the shares have already doubled since the CEO put his hand in his pocket, and the next level up for those who believe that the company is now on its way would be as high as 0.47. Amazing target there, but something to shoot for by the end of next month if we can get a break of or an end of day close above that 0.28 second target. Finishing off with Zinnwald, and here situation is that we were regarding the shares of having overshot on the downside by quite a lot, actually by about half a penny or more, actually a penny or more. A penny there, and the floor of the channel there around 4.5 pence. Above that we would be looking for 7 pence, and shares up a decent amount today to prove that particular theory. Only thing missing at the moment is the RSI back above neutral 50, which hopefully would accelerate the upside on that situation. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.